it is the raw, honest, scab-picking emotion of Harvey's writing and performance that makes the album stand out. The album could have been done with an acoustic guitar and a tambourine, and it would still hit just as hard.
Hey, everybody out there in the YouTube world. Welcome back to another episode of the Audiophiles. Andy and John here. Yes, in the YouTube world. To discuss some music, as we are wont to do here at the Audiophiles. John is up to bat today. So, sir, what do you have in store for the class?
So, as you know, we are nearing the end of our continual jazz funk odyssey, that is REM, the IRS years. So I thought we'd start another jazz funk odyssey, and that of the career of PJ Harvey. And so we had one earlier, and now we're back to the well.
Excellent.
For another PJ Harvey track.
Well, this is a well that I'm looking forward to revisiting. I'll just say that out loud. I know that I know what I know about her, and I know that I need to know more about her. So I'm looking forward to that.
It's one of those ones where, and I think we would cover this in past and future, and probably very soon future artists, where you think you kind of know there's a lot about them out there, and actually either there isn't that much out there and a lot of it's bullshit, or you just don't know the half of it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think she's a mixture of the both, definitely. Anyway, so this track, the title track from her second album, is called Rid of Me. And I'm being both kind and cruel here because I am giving you a live performance. So it's slightly different from the studio version, but it is great to see her in person. And this was live on the Tonight Show with Jay Leno.
Oh, okay. Usually not a Leno guy, but this will be interesting to check out. And
you'll get a little snippet of old Potato Face himself, and then the music.
Exactly. That's one way of describing him. And I'd also be interested to know when I come back, like even having not listened to it yet, what the differences are between what I'm about to endeavor on and what has been put on the actual album, the studio version, as you say, being some differences there. So you can help me get clarity there. But in the meantime, I love a good live performance. So I'm looking forward to checking out what Leno and, more importantly, PJ have in store for me here.
Performing the title song from a new CD, Rid of Me, please welcome PJ Harvey.
Tie yourself to me. No one else knows you're not rid of me. You're not rid of me.
Okay, I'm gonna make a point not to stop this so much. Hopefully, it won't do it again until the end. But man, there's just a lot that I'm inferring from all of this. So here you have this like young, undeniably beautiful woman up here, and there are all these things that are like counterintuitive to each other that I'm witnessing. Like she's up here in a form-fitting gold like cocktail dress, spaghetti straps, hair back, and she's rocking out on this black and white Telecaster, and she's alone. It's just her, and it's like this balance between supermodel and rock star. And it's like that, it's that grungy rock star too, right? So it's this really interesting dynamic between those two things that I'm witnessing at the same time. I'm looking at a rock star, but I'm looking at a really incredibly beautiful woman. And there's this kind of mystique about her. And there's also, and maybe that's because there's also this like super like kind of feminine strength to her, just standing up there alone, dressed like this, with all the eyes of America on her and this audience. And it's the black and white guitar is, there's like symbolism in that as well. Like the contrast between a rock star and a supermodel are about as black and white as her guitar. So it's just interesting and kind of, for me, riddled in all this symbolic stuff, because she is the epitome of strength here, but she's alone and vulnerable as all get out, right? And look at her. She's got, it doesn't appear that she's concerned about any of that at all. And that's like, I don't know. I just think it's super brave and super intriguing, and only further adds to the mystique of PJ Harvey. So yeah, let's proceed.
Night and day, I breathe. You're not rid of me.
I like that.
No, you're not rid of me. No, you're not rid of me. No, you're not rid of me. Oh, I beg you, my darling, don't leave me. Oh, I'm hurting. Lick my legs and I'm on fire. Lick my legs and I'm desire outside your legs. Keep you against my chest. Oh, you're not rid of me. No, you're not rid of me. I'll make you lick my entrails. I'm gonna twist your head, I'll say till you say, don't you wish you never, never, man, 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 I beg you, my darling, don't leave me, I'm hurting, be lonely above everything, above every day, I'm hurting, lick my legs and I'm on fire, lick my legs and I'm desire, lick my legs and I'm on fire, lick my legs and I'm desire, you're not rid of me, no, you're not rid of me, I make you lick my entrails, I'm gonna twist your head, I'll say, till you say, don't you wish you never, never, man, 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 don't lick my legs and I'm on fire, lick my legs and I'm desire, lick my legs and I'm on fire, lick my legs and I'm desire, lick my legs and I'm on fire, lick my legs and I'm desire.
Yeah, just a powerful performance. I mean, the weight of the moment isn't lost on me. I mean, this is like a young woman in a male-dominated industry standing up there alone and looking perhaps the part of someone who could be trampled upon with her, visage of this gold dress and everything that I talked about earlier. But she's don't be fooled. She appears both vulnerable and stalwart at the same time, and I would err on the side of stalwart, and I wouldn't take that bet or gamble on that. She's up there. Not only is she up there looking this way, but she's up there singing about being hurt, but being hurt on her terms, and kind of telling the person who did this to her, look, at times or in a moment, I might want you here, but I could just as easily twist your head off, which, that's scary. I don't know if you guys have seen nature documentaries, but it is usually the female of whatever species they're covering that you've got to look out for. They're the fiercest. They might not be the biggest and they might not be the most visually imposing, but if you are smart, you'll understand and recognize that they are fierce, and she seems to be just that. Yeah, this is like, this is something that if I had a daughter, I would want her to see, because to me, this is, in my mind, this is like the definition of feminine strength and beauty, right? All wrapped up into one. No plastic packaging or phoniness. This is real. Yeah, I could see why John picked this performance and not just this song. He wanted me to see this for a reason, I think, and I'm pretty sure I've passed this one. I'd be interested to see what the rest of this interview is. There's still time left. Anyway, let's get back to John and have him discuss with me sort of the song, a bit more about the artist, and I'll provide him and y'all with further insights about my experience listening to this. But yeah, let's get back to him.
Are you back?
I am back.
So you survived, Mr. Leno, but more importantly, did you survive the performance onslaught from Polly Jane?
Well, Leno almost took me out just because seeing him makes my heart race because I hate the guy. But then PJ had my heart racing for an entirely different reason. So I almost ate shit for a second time in that like 3-minute or whatever it was video that I watched. And for obviously very different reasons. So I didn't have much to say in my reaction to this because I thought that the performance was such, and I think the gravity of the moment, or at least what felt like the gravity of the moment, watching it from a retrospective, felt like it didn't need to be weighed down by my ridiculous observations, and I should just let it happen for the most part. Also, I wanted time to kind of filter through my feelings and thoughts before I said them out loud, and I would be more judicious in writing down my notes after having listened to it.
Can I just say there's a lot of context to this, and it would probably help you crystallize your thoughts when you know a bit more context as well as to what's going on.
Yes, and I'm sure you'll try your best to provide that for me. But so the performance begins with PJ striking this very captivating and interesting visual balance between rock star and supermodel. I mean, she's wearing this sleek, spaghetti-strapped, very form-fitting dress while strumming away clipped, visceral, distorted chords on a black and white Telecaster. And the color choice of the guitar is apropos to the visage that she's striking. And I like that. I like that a lot. I have no idea if that was an artistic choice. But you have this black and white situation where she's one thing visually, but what she's creating is another. And she's playing this guitar that sort of is almost symbolic in its color palette of the situation that's unfolding before you. She's all alone up there. And that's pretty awesome too. She begins singing over the chords, just her and the guitar. And it's almost simultaneously vulnerable and stalwart in the same breath. Like, she's up there. She's like, look, she's a woman in the 90s. So this is like just around the time. And I know women throughout history have fought for, women's suffrage and the right to vote and all this stuff. But I mean, the modern apex of this stuff coming to a head. And I know the 70s had the feminist movement and all that. This is really when it's starting to come to the forefront. And I think that's also like the way media evolved along the same trajectory kind of helped with that, because you had all these different shows and more networks and longer run times for networks. Long were the days of the 12 o'clock midnight static until 6 o'clock the next morning or whatever it was. Shit ran all the time. The internet was coming to be around this time. So the voices were getting louder and issues were becoming more and more in the social forefront and unavoidable, really. So here she is, this woman looking beautiful but vulnerable, but she's creating this sound that is almost like an animal's defense mechanism to let you know they are going to fuck you up if you get too close. She's creating this sound and this noise, and she's making these faces as she's delivering these pretty powerful, strong words. And again, it's that dynamic of two polar opposite things getting pushed together through her sheer tyranny of will. And it's just awesome. I love this. And lyrically, she makes mention of breathing. And as she does this, she adds this breathy, almost labor delivery, which plays on the illusion she just made. And I, too, enjoyed that artistic decision. So I'm just finding all these fucking things that are worthy of falling in love with outside of just her beauty. So this is great. I need more than just beauty, and here's all this like intricacy and beauty and art and balance, and it's like, oh, I love it. And she delivers the lines about licking her legs and being on fire or something to that effect. And also these lyrics are so evocative and semi-provocative, and I'm loving that as well. And there's also this line where she says during the end of the second and I think the third verse, I'll make you lick my injuries. I'm going to twist off your head, see? And for whatever reason, that induced the most visceral feeling in me, because there is something interesting about the unnerving imagery involved in those lyrics. But they also underscore her pain and anger, but also her strength. Again, like pain and anger scream vulnerability. But listen, motherfucker, I will twist off your head if you try to pull this shit again. And you know what? I'm going to make you lick the wounds that you put me through. Like that is that sort of like, I don't know, this powerful, you watch all these, I'm just going on here. You know how you watch all these documentaries and it's always the female animal in the animal kingdom that is the power broker.
More deadly than the male, yes.
Yes. She is that lioness, and she doesn't need three other ones to run this hunt with her. She's got it under control. So it's really, really awesome. And there's this feeling of, I don't know, this naturalistic, animalistic kind of power that she has. And she repeats the question, don't you wish you never met her, I believe, before the song comes to an end. Now, having listened to this tune just after you had me listen to Cathedral by Sprints and our discussion thereof, I can understand how her delivery influenced, was it Carla Chubb? Yeah. And her delivery, and probably, and considering that was just 2019-ish, and this was clearly well before that, there's probably myriad other female artists who took as an influence PJ Harvey, probably among some other really strong female singers out there as well. But go ahead. I'm sorry.
Just doing the maths. This was 93, and that song you just referenced was 2023. So it's 30 years later.
30 years.
Carla probably wasn't even bored when this performance happened.
Right. Which is talk about transcendent influence. Like anybody can get popular enough to influence somebody 5 years younger than them, if no matter how truly talented they are. But to like, you have like Lennon McCartney-esque influence where you can for generations influence artists. That's something that I'm sure PJ has, and I'm just speaking this as a cis white male. Like, I'm sure women are going to be like, "You idiot! Of course she does. She's so, and she is really phenomenal." Now,
Yeah, it's just really interesting. Sorry, but the term influencer is used a lot nowadays.
Yeah.
Now, none of these motherfuckers are going to be around in 3 years, let alone 30 years. And
Yeah.
that's what true influence is.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. It's 15 minutes of fame versus like you live on forever. And that's what we're dealing with here. And I think we know which side of that spectrum PJ lands on. Now, in the interest of transparency, I stopped this video pretty early in its timestamp for the sake of this discussion. But as you could probably imagine through my vigor in describing my experience, I didn't want it to stop. So I continued to watch after I stopped the recording, just to because Leno invites her on, and usually that means she's going to sit down and they're going to talk for a little bit, which is exactly what happens. And you could tell. Now I know that the one actor was Michael Richards, who played Kramer on Seinfeld, one of my all-time favorite television shows. I don't know who the woman was that was sandwiched between them on the couch. And then you have Leno. And I swear, from the moment she stepped on the stage after initially greeting Leno, she had all three of those motherfuckers eating out of her hand. Like they were all absolutely spellbound by her presence. And she didn't have to say shit. Like I think her, or like some of her answers were like just a few syllables in the like the small discussion she had with Leno. And she absolutely disarmed Leno's bullshit male interviewer interviewing a female starlet with silly questions. She talks about growing up on a farm, on a sheep farm in England, and how she's not afraid to get her hands dirty. She's even performed like castrations of the sheep, which is a necessary, natural thing you have to do on a farm or whatever, and which I completely understand. Of course, the moment castration comes into effect, Leno wants to grab for the lowest of hanging fruit, lower than those sheep testicles that she's expert in removing, and she then neuters him with sort of this like, I've never really thought about it that kind of way. What a silly fucking kind of question attitude toward him. And he's doing that giant chin, trying to like gather his feet bullshit that Leno always does. And you can tell he's put his foot in his mouth. And you could tell that the two people next to her are just gobsmacked by her sheer aura. And I loved that little bit. You know what I mean? I said out of the gate, I'm not a big fan of Leno anyway. So watching him eat crow is something that I'd want to see anyway. But to see it come from this woman who looks half the girl that was left waiting at the table at a 5-star restaurant for the date that never showed, plus this like apex female predator in the animal kingdom, sort of all put together. And just disarming this asshole on his show that bears his name was just really fun for me to watch, on top of the actual musical performance. And frankly, it could have been muted and just her standing there for 3 minutes, and I would have been, perfectly pleased as punch to just, soak that in. So yeah, I understand why you picked it. I think to some degree, and I'm sure it's only a fraction of a degree, I understand the importance of this because of the times, the gender gap, the way the entertainment business was the boys club that ran all the way up until the Me Too movement of like, recent times. Now you can argue that go too far or whatever, but a lot of heads that should have rolled. And that's a good thing. So yeah, it was just, all of it was quite intriguing for me. It was kind of cool to watch that unfold and to not be a 10-year-old who would have come across that on late night television, but now be a 40-year-old equipped with perspective and some social intelligence and graces I didn't have then, and apply them to this situation to better understand the gravity of it all. So you take over now, John.
And just to say really quickly, I don't know if you noticed, but right at the end of that clip, just as the music starts up and the lights are going down, that's the end of the show sort of thing, or it might have been gone to advert break, I suspect, he leans over and says, "Oh, can you sign this for me?" Which I thought was hilarious.
I didn't see that. I saw him lean over, and I thought it was like, "Will you stick around for the next segment?" Or something. Did that go okay? I didn't know it was on. Yeah, that's funny.
It is. Anyway, so this, as we've mentioned, is the opening track and the title track from their second album of what would be the last outing of PJ Harvey as a band. So yeah, this really is a landmark album. For the iconic cover alone launched 1,000 articles. There is, and this continues throughout her career, a shitload which is projected on PJ Harvey by critics, fans, obsessives, and detractors. Two narrative threads always seem to rise up amongst others. One is her personal situation, especially regarding her relationships, and the second is the feminist agenda that she may or may not have. Of course, neither of these threads would arise if she wasn't female.
Yeah.
Interesting quote that she said after this album. She said, "I don't even think of myself as being female half the time. When I'm writing songs, I never write with a gender in mind. I write about people's relationships to each other. I'm fascinated with things that might be considered repulsive or embarrassing. I like feeling unsettled and unsure." That's a quote from her. I could talk about this album for a couple of hours, easy. And then at the end of it, I would state that this isn't my favorite album by her. So that gives you an idea. So I'll try and keep this brief. Just about, I mentioned it, the cover, this is quite interesting. So it shows her topless and she's swinging her head and her drenched hair is going in the air. This photo was captured by Maria Mochnach, who I think I mentioned in the previous episode as being the girlfriend of one of the people in the band and has become a lifelong friend of her and does all her photography. It was taken in her bathroom in her flat in Bristol. And because the room was so small, she had to place the camera against the wall and she couldn't even look through the viewfinder to check it was framed or whatever. And the photo was taken in total darkness. And there's an automatic split-second flash on it. So it's only afterwards they had a look to see if they'd actually got what they wanted to get.
Yes.
And also, by the way, when they sent the photo to the record label, they said, "Oh, can you touch it up and remove some of the drops and the plant leaf?" And they said, "No, that's the way it's supposed to be. Jog on," which they did. So when this album was released at the kind of height, 1993, at the height of grunge frenzy, One Trick Pony that I called Steve Albini, his production gave it that dirty, abrasive feel, and they picked him specifically because of his work, so-called work on the Surfer Rosa album. But don't get me into all that because anyway. However, it is the raw, honest, scab-picking emotion of Harvey's writing and performance that makes the album stand out. The album could have been done with an acoustic guitar and a tambourine, and it would still hit just as hard. Some albums are influential, as we've clearly seen. This has continued to be inspirational, and I think that's the difference. There's been a lot written about her mental state when this was written, much of which we will never know for sure. It is true, apparently, that this followed her first serious relationship breakup and a supposed nervous breakdown, which is due to that and some other things, and a sort of not quite an eating disorder, but a sort of lack of remembering to eat and things like that. So she retreated from London to isolation in Dorset, where she wrote most of the songs for this album. And the title track was influenced by this relationship coming to an end. When she was told by an interviewer that Rid of Me sounded psychotic, she replied that she wrote the song at my illest and added, "I was almost psychotic at the time." But she made it clear that not all of her lyrics were to be read to be autobiographical, saying, "I would have to be about 40 and very worn out to have lived through everything that I write about." So, some imagination. But there are themes in this album of lust, frustration, vulnerability, anger, and you probably get all of that just in this one song.
Yeah, I was going to say.
That you take from this album is honesty, passion. Even if you can't quite understand every scenario and every nuance, you can feel it. And the power, as you mentioned. Unfiltered is probably the best adjective for this album. As you can imagine, it was met with widespread critical acclaim, and its reputation has probably only grown over the years. Melody Maker wrote, "No other British artist is so aggressively exploring the dark side of human nature, or its illogically black humour. No other British artist possesses the nerve, let alone the talent, to conjure up its soundtrack." The album reached number 3 in the UK charts and went silver. And for such a sort of raw and some people call difficult album, it's just amazing, really. It featured a multiple end of the year lists. It was nominated for the Mercury Prize, and unbelievably, it lost out to Suede. Two singles off the album, 50 Foot Queenie and Man Size, were minor hits, reaching 27 and 42 of the UK charts, respectively.
Yeah.
Um,
50
Rid of
Foot
Me,
Queenie, I know.
yeah. Man Size is something else as well, and there's a whole story behind that. But anyway, and the video is just amazing. But in terms of performance, so Rid of Me, the album, was ranked 405th on Rolling Stone's list of 500 greatest albums of all time, and the title track was ranked 194 on their 500 greatest songs of all time. And it's also featured in the book 1001 Albums You Must Hear Before You Die. And as
you don't say.
So I always like to do this. There she is, waving
Yes.
stuff on the opposite page. Pet Shop Boys, very. Just listened to a load of Pet Shop Boys stuff on the telly last night, and I found it really, really fun. On the other page, you've got the Twat in the Hat, Jamiroquai, Emergency on Planet Earth. When you're going to learn? Well, certainly not when you buy 6 Ferraris. So you're not going to learn that. On the other page, you got Blur, The Fall Infotainment Scandal, Lost in Music, we listened to that, and another personal favorite, Wu-Tang, 36 Chambers.
Yes.
Fantastic. And on the next page, another very strong individual female as well. Yeah.
Yes.
Brilliant times. Brilliant times.
No,
So,
that's a good little area pocket of artists to be in too. Yeah.
So this performance, it really was, in terms of context. So this was an announcement really to the world. So the album came out in April, and the band toured a bit and then split up. And this performance was in September, I believe, of '93. So here was PJ Harvey, the next generation, as it were. She's now very much a solo artist, and to illustrate that, she is on this massive stage. She's quite a diminutive figure anyway, but on her own, as you said. And as you highlighted, gone was her traditional black garb and fairly sort of androgynous look, and it's replaced with this shimmering gold cocktail dress and her hair shellacked back. And I'm not sure if it was the first time she was seen wearing lipstick, in public, but one of the reviewers I read dedicated 2, 3, 4 paragraphs to her appearance alone. It brought out a lot of the loonies in this.
I know, but you know what's funny about it, John, is the moment, and look, we're only flesh and blood here. And the moment those thoughts started creeping into my head, I was like, no, you're doing exactly what she does, what you're not supposed to do in this moment. But she is beautiful, and it's a striking, not plasticky kind of beauty. It's an original beauty that she possesses, and I think that is part of what makes her so intriguing. On top of the way more important thing, like, not to be overshadowed or not to overshadow the more important things, which is her God-given talent and her raw artistry and all these things as well. Like, I want to be clear, but she's pretty.
Yeah, it's another sort of quiver, arrow in her quiver of this attractive,
mystique
sort of, things that goes on. So so it really was an announcement of that. She sings the falsetto parts, which were actually on the album done by the drummer Rob Ellis. She sings them herself out the side of her mouth to begin with, and it gives this eerie alternate personality to the lamentations of the protagonist. In the press, she had been portrayed as this shrieking feminist harridan. So the short interview afterwards with Leno was so startling to many, particularly American viewers, because we see this impish, softly spoken country girl, which is a complete contrast to what they believed that she was like. But of course, the conversation leads to the subject, as you said, castration. And we can see the mischievous delight in her smile straight away that, is just hilarious and very, very funny. Okay, I will get into the lyrics, which again are just immense. Tie yourself to me, no one else, no. You're not rid of me. You're not rid of me. Night and day, I breathe, ha, ha, hey, hey. You're not rid of me. No, you're not rid of me. No, you're not rid of me. No, you're not rid of me. I beg you, my darling, don't leave me. I'm hurting. And then there's the falsetto sort of lick my legs, and she changes it from the album version here. Lick my legs and I'm on fire, lick my legs and I'm desire. Whereas in the album, it's actually lick my legs of fire, lick my legs of desire. So she's actually personalizing it there. I'll tie your legs, keep you against my chest. Oh, you're not rid of me. No, you're not rid of me. I'll make you lick my injuries. I'm going to twist your head off, see, till you say, don't you wish you never met her? 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 I beg you, my darling, don't leave me. I'm hurting. And then falsetto, I'll be lonely above everything, above every day. I'm hurting. And then again, lick my legs and I'm on fire, lick my legs and I'm desire. Lick my legs and I'm on fire. Lick my legs and I'm desire. You're not rid of me. No, you're not rid of me. I'll make you lick my injuries. I'm going to twist your head off, see, till you say, don't you wish you never met her? 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 Lick my legs and I'm on fire. Lick my legs and I'm desire. Lick my legs and I'm on fire. Lick my legs and I'm desire. And then she drops out to a cappella again. Lick my legs and I'm on fire, lick my legs and I'm desire, lick my legs and I'm on fire, lick my legs and I'm desire. The song itself, on the album version, there's percussion and it sort of comes in and the guitar goes really frenetic in the bits where she's singing, lick my, don't you wish you never met her? It's really going, and then it drops down again. One of the reviewers in the last episode, one of the contributors, the viewers, put a comment in about the 4-track demo album, which is this one here, which came out a few months later, and it's got her 4-track demos that she did herself, and it's a really interesting version, even rawer in terms of the sound, because she produced it, not Albini herself. And it's a really great version, but I still love this live because of the vocal, the way she does it, her presence and everything, and the way she's basically announcing, I'm carrying on, and PJ Harvey is me. It's just all of it together is amazing. And there's a little Rubik's Cube of emotions going on here in terms of there's vulnerability, there's anger, there's revenge, and there's like almost a self-hatred that, you're a twat, but I still want you. All of those things that everyone feels during breakups as well. And that repulsion and attraction at the same time. So it's really clever, although it's simple, and it's complex and straightforward, and it's raw, but it's also nuanced. And it's all of these things that makes it and her great.
Yeah. Watching it, the one thing that I could think of is, man, I wish I had like a 7 or 8 year old daughter, like to show her this and be like, this is like female strength. This is what this to me is like the strongest form of femininity. And I just thought it was so fucking cool and interesting. And I'm glad that I got to go back and check this out now. Cause like I said, I don't know if I would have had the, intelligence, like the social grace or emotional intelligence to be able to be like, to have that epiphany that I just laid before you there, where I wish I had a young girl to show, like my niece or a daughter, and be like, this is what it is to be a cool, strong woman. Because it was the image of that right before me.
Yeah, and throughout her career, she's changed. She had a persona she called the Vamp at one point, and you'll see different looks as we'll carry on our film Jazz Odyssey. But again, she's always had this strength and strength of character, regardless of male or female. But she's a role model, no doubt. No doubt, and very, very talented person. Cool. All right, I shall wrap things up. So thanks for listening to this.
Thank you for giving me this one, John.
This is one of my favorite performances of all time. Honestly, it's right up there. And the album, I cannot speak highly enough of it. But there is another album which I like even more. But there you go. That's how good she is. Folks out there, tell us what you think. Hit the like button. Don't even question it. Just hit the like button, and you'll think about what you've done later on. Have you got comments about this track in particular and this performance, but this album? What a fucking banger! It's a whole November the 5th. It's not just a banger. Tell us what you think. Perhaps you don't like it. Anyway,
Wouldn't.
we'd love to hear from you. We really would. And also, yeah, anything else you want to say about PJ and suggestions for down the line? I'm sure fans know the order of the albums next. So next one, what do you think? I've already got my thoughts, but you know, I'm open for persuasion. But yeah, and if you haven't subscribed already, please do help support the channel. We really appreciate everybody who comes on board and strengthen us along the way towards global domination. That being said, thanks again so much for watching, and we'll see all of you on the next episode of the Audiophiles.
See you later, guys.